Hello, I'm Miss Marino, and this is the beginning to my unit on mythology. Today we'll be discussing Greek mythology. These are a few gods and goddesses from Greek mythology. Perhaps you will see some of these names, and they will strike familiarity. These names are used often throughout today's culture, even though they are from a long time ago. The Greek people worshiped the gods as people today worship the Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist religions, and many more. To the ancient Greeks, the gods were not a myth. It was considered a fact that the gods existed, and the stories that were written about them were considered to be factual as well. There were a few people who were doubtful, such as the philosopher Plato, but most people believed that these were true stories. So how did these people believe in these gods, and where did they come from? Well, back in the day, people didn't have the science that we have now to explain natural occurrences. So when the weather would change or when the crops wouldn't grow, they invented reasons for these things to be happening. The reason why we know that those exist today are because of published works such as the Iliad, the Odyssey, and Theogony. Zeus was known as the king of the gods, and he controlled the weather. He was referred to as the cloud gatherer and the thunderer, and he used his thunderbolt as a weapon. Zeus was known to be feared but loved, and people lived by the example that he set. He was known to be hospitable, and so in turn, the people were hospitable to each other because they didn't want to upset him. Poseidon is Zeus's brother, and he controls the sea. He was known for his bad temper, and if people were lost at sea, they would blame Poseidon. He, along with his brother, could cause earthquakes. And he has some modern influence in today's Disney movies and TV shows. In the bottom of the screen, you can see Triton, King Triton from Ariel. He is named after Poseidon's weapon, which is the Triton, and as you can see, he's also holding a Triton. And then you have an actual Poseidon, which was in the Hercules TV show based off of the Hercules movie. Hades was the god of the underworld, and he was the brother of Zeus and Poseidon as well. Along with his two brothers, he could also cause earthquakes. But what was very scary about him is he controlled all the people that died. There was just one place that everyone went, and it was the underworld. So he had more subjects than any other god, since he was the leader of every single person that's ever died. And he actually liked murderers or warriors because they killed people, so they gave him more subjects. And those were his favorite people. He was also known as the god of wealth, and he's known for kidnapping and marrying Persephone, which I will talk about a little bit more later. He used a pitchfork, and it is said that that is why modern sketches of the devil, he's holding a pitchfork. It comes from Hades. There on the left-hand side is a Hades statue, and on the right-hand side is the Disney version. Zeus is very popular because he is the father of so many of the gods and goddesses. He had over 100 children, but the ones in this picture are the most famous. So unlike Disney, he had a lot of infidelities. There again, the Disney version, he's happy. He looks like a nice guy. On the left-hand side, he's a little more scary. And in this picture, actually, his daughter is being born out of his head. So again, Disney shows him as this dedicated husband when really he was a very scary man who had lots and lots of experiences with many different women, though he was actually married to Hera. Athena was one of the most respected goddesses god or goddess. She was the goddess of war and cunning wisdom, and she built the first boat, the first bridle, and the first chariot. So she gave a lot of gifts to humanity, and people appreciate her for that. A shrine to her is in almost every city in Greece. And there, actually, Disney got this depiction pretty accurately. Demeter actually is the reason for the season. She controls the weather more than Zeus does. Zeus can make it cloudy, he can have lightning or thunder, but Demeter truly controls the seasons because she's the goddess of agriculture. And her one daughter, Persephone, is very important because Persephone's story actually explains why the seasons happen. So there's Demeter and Persephone in the Disney version. Persephone was the daughter of Zeus and Demeter, and she was actually tricked into marrying Hades. So she became the queen of the underworld. When Hades stole Persephone, Demeter became so upset that she made the world barren. Nobody could grow any crops. It was cold. All the animals had to hibernate, and this became winter. It would have been winter forever had Zeus not made a compromise with Hades that Persephone could be on Earth 8 months of the year with her mother and then would return to the underworld later. And I shouldn't have said Earth. She would be in Olympus with her mother and sometimes maybe visit Earth. But that is the reason why winter occurs, because when Persephone is gone, Demeter becomes upset and she makes it winter, and then every year when she returns, it becomes spring because she's so happy to see her daughter. So here is Hera, and that she is the wife of Zeus. She was the goddess of weddings and marriage. My theory is that as long as you were marrying someone besides Zeus, she was happy to have a woman off the market because Zeus had so many different infidelities and so many different illegitimate children, and she would become very, very jealous of the women and the children born of these affairs, and she would seek revenge. Aphrodite is the goddess of love and beauty. She is known for causing the Trojan War, actually, because she made Helen fall in love with Paris. And this statue on the right-hand side of the screen is one of the well-known depictions of her. In the Disney movie Hercules, they make fun, poke a little fun at the statue because obviously it's missing some limbs. And Megra and Hercules are throwing rocks across the lake, and suddenly they accidentally throw the rocks to cut off her arms, and that is the joke in the Disney movie as to why she has no arms. But most likely it's just due to the fact that it was made a long, long time ago. Hermes is the last god that I will talk about today. He is the son of Zeus and Maya, and he is the messenger of the gods. If you notice his winged feet, often we refer to that as Mercury's foot. Mercury is a Roman god, but all of the Roman gods are based off of the Greek gods. So Mercury was based off of Hermes. And Hermes was very special because he would serve as a guide. He would communicate messages from the underworld to Earth to Olympus. And there's the silly, goofy Disney version versus the version of him in actual Greek mythology. And you'll notice his weapon there is the medical sign. So Greek mythology has a lot of different influence in today's world, as we can see from all the different symbols that we've taken from mythology and the ideas that we use in our entertainment industry, specifically Disney. Thank you for listening to this presentation, and we'll learn more about the different types of mythology soon.